On the lines, Winston Shrout. Winston Shrout, Solutions in Commerce. Now, the great thing is that website has been active for decades now, bringing you cutting-edge, sovereign-inducing, wholesome information for your freedom, for you to have power for yourself and for others in this world. Well, he is now striking out on a new dimension on the same theme. It is called Exo-Commerce, Origins and Returns. This is going to be a live webinar Saturday, January 25th, 2014, starting out 2014 with a bang. It is going to be from 9 a.m. to 12:30. And the amazing thing about this is that Winston, he's so funny. He calls this his woo-woo sessions. Well, I would say just wow when it comes to the way that he is able to interlace the material and the non-material and explain to us a greater understanding of the world that we are in and these amazing changing times that are here now and that are coming. Mr. Shrout, thank you so much for joining us here on your preview of your upcoming webinar coming up, Exo-Commerce Origins and Return, Saturday, January 25th from 9 a.m. to 12:30. Tell us about this new dimension to the understanding of the world that we are in, that you are embarking on here in 2014.
Well, whether it's in consequence of or just the natural course of things, we've been working for a very long time with bringing solutions to what we would call materialistic problems. And then always along the way, we've also perhaps hinted at spiritual connections or connections that are just a bit beyond the materialistic point of view that we've taken. And so at this point, I have introduced, for some who are interested in this point of view, what I have termed exo-commerce. And this is kind of a play on words. There is a very detailed and highly exerted effort being made right now in a movement called exo-politics. And the purpose of exo-politics is to put pressure on the various governments to open up the files, to release the information of the interaction of the governments with extraterrestrials and others. And so in my thinking, the subject of exopolitics is being successfully pursued. And so I think, I don't need to replicate any of that thought process. But in that regard, as I thought, well, if the government does finally open up and reveal the interaction that they have had with visitors, as it were, from other places, that would be good. But then the next question is how do we interrelate with those entities? And so hence I just coined the term exo-commerce as a thought, excuse me as I cough. But anyway, the exo-commerce concept was put in place so that we might have some reasonable method to interrelate with those who might come here. And so anyway, as perhaps as a natural consequence of the direction we've gone for these years with solutions in commerce to get people's minds and hearts and their material world freed up so that they might consider other possibilities, then perhaps a natural corollary is what do we do once we're free? So the possibilities are there.
Now, when you for your upcoming webinar, it's interesting. You're going to be, it seems like, starting from the back row, starting from a historical point of view, for one, defining exo-commerce, which you just did, But then you're going to be talking about the hollow earth and inner earth civilizations. Is that important to understand our relationship between the human narrative of this planet, which is defined mostly by the Bible, that we all of a sudden, we were here, but I guess, the fossil record has us as far back as being present 50 million, years ago. And so have we always been alone on this planet, or were we some of the new immigrants to this planet when you talk about the hollow earth and the inner earth civilizations? Were they here before us?
I'm not sure. One of the things, that people suffer with is ego or ethnocentrism.
Yes.
And so we do not consider that other possibilities, may be available. Now, as far as people inhabiting the interior of the planet, which is hollow, obviously, I really can't say which came first, the chicken or the egg, but it's obvious that those who have existed on the interior of the planet have been able to perhaps progress in many respects, both scientifically, spiritually, and so forth, perhaps a little bit far in advance of those who have suffered on the exterior of the planet. And perhaps that is a result of gravity, and as strange as that may seem. And so anyway, I have spoken to individuals who do have memories of having been on the planet since the planet was first inhabited, and they are surface dwellers, and they have had memories of actually coming here, and many thousands and thousands of years ago. As I had mentioned, we tend to become ethnocentric, and so we have, for instance, relied upon the history that's contained in our King James Version.
Yes.
Emphasis on version of the Holy Bible.
Yes.
To interpret our sociological evolvement here upon the planet.
Right.
We've even gone to the point of becoming linear in our thinking, in as much as we start to put dates, time periods, and so forth, based on the scant information that's contained in King James Version. Now, is that a smart thing to do? and maybe the answer is no, that it's not, in light of the many evidences, scientific, archaeological, so forth, that we have in front of us. Now, when we start to talk about the existence of people within the hollow earth, one of the things I'll be bringing forth are individuals that I have met, that I have talked to, who have actually been inside of there, and give their report of what their experience was. And actually, there's one individual who I've spoken with who claims to have been born inside and then brought to the surface for various purposes. And so, these are things perhaps that might be wise to consider, as we try to develop our thought process about exo-commerce and our relationship or expected relationships to others who we might encounter, and probably not in the too far distant future.
When we think about some of these other civilizations out there in exo-commerce, what stories have you heard from some of these contactees and the people that you are speaking to about the way that they inter-exchange, the way that they do trade or business? Do you have any idea about the systems that they use?
Yes, I have some semblance of that. Actually, our webinar will, excuse me,
Yes.
will contain three portions. Number one, as we've discussed so far, the concept that there's people living inside the Earth, and not only inside the hollow Earth, but also in the crust of the Earth. There are many civilizations there, and we have those kind of records. But also the second and third parts of the webinar will have to do with visitors from other planets, perhaps other star systems, what we call extra-terrestrials, and so forth. And the third part will involve itself with a discussion of what we call interdimensionals, such as ascended masters, angels, and that sort of thing. And then certainly those two, and actually all three, interrelate. And so that relationship, between those elements will be discussed. And as we as surface dwellers or mere mortals as we appear, if given the opportunity to interrelate to some of these others, the real question is, how will we do that? In other words, will they lower themselves to our status, or is it important for us to elevate our thoughts and our actions to the way they do things, so we can have this exo-commerce thing going on? And so one of the purposes, certainly, of Solutions in Commerce is to get people to a correct understanding of a system, so that we can put aside the materialism that we have suffered with for these many years. And so as I try to point out in our exo-commerce concepts, a system which would integrate very well with my understanding of commerce on other places. The system is here, and we have had it, either as inadvertently or on purpose. But certainly in 1933, a system was introduced for commerce, which is, in my opinion, now this is my opinion again, but in my opinion, it is a system that would work well with some of these other situations, that I have pointed to here. Now, the problem was that in 1933, the system was created, but was immediately hidden. And so there was a great deal of effort that was made to prevent the people, certainly of this country and actually of the whole world, to understand that system. And it was not until around the 1990s until a man named Roger Elvik and some of the people that he was working with discovered that system and started to implement it. And and from that time, some of the rest of us started to study these things ourselves and take up the cause, as it were, started to try to reveal it to the people so they could begin to conceptualize of a commercial system which would go beyond the bounds of greed, selfishness, and those things, and allow us to conceptualize of a different way of doing things. And now with the thought process that perhaps we'll have a chance to have some sort of relationship with other entities, which are certainly beyond, our level of understanding. Could we carry on a conversation with these folks? And so I think really that if properly understood, the system, that we've been trying to bring to the surface, that we've been trying to educate people about, would be very productive if and when we get a chance to have that relationship with some of these others.
On the lines, Winston Shrout. My name is Eben Ray, KPFK Radio. Always a pleasure to work with Winston, to work with Solutions in Commerce, and now Solutions in Exo-Commerce. That's coming up. It's a live webinar Saturday, January 25th of 2014 from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. 3.5 hours, Winston. Wow. That is a way to launch a whole new platform of understanding. That seems like that is a lot longer than some of the usual seminars that you have done.
Well, when I anticipated doing this, I felt like that there were three subjects that I wanted to spend time with, and so I thought I'd just go ahead and divide it into 3 one-hour time slots,
wow.
Some of which will certainly overlap. But the thing that kind of put me on to this was the last seminar that we had done in Los Angeles. I was actually shocked
right.
at the number of the attendees at the seminar who wanted to discuss these very subjects. And well, you were there, and you remember how hard it was for me to draw back the audience back onto the subject matter that we had advertised.
That's right.
And so I immediately saw that there was an interest and that people were wanting more information of how commerce itself would relate to matters that are perhaps metaphysical. I hate to use the word paranormal because of the connotation that people use of that word. But anyway, something that was above and beyond what we typically experience in our material world. And so based on that interest, I thought that perhaps it might be
yes.
a beginning opportunity to open up some of these other areas of thought, just on the supposition that many have been having these kinds of relationships, and we have many reports of contactees who have established some of these relationships, and with some indication that more contact is perhaps on the horizon for all of us. And so, in an effort, we have to think, is this world all that there is? Is this life that I'm living now all that I expect for all eternity? Or are there opportunities to progress and to elevate my thought process, the way I do things, how I interrelate with people here on the planet, as well as perhaps others who may become available? So it only makes sense, to address this subject matter a little bit, at the very least, to do a little bit of thought-provoking stimulus. It can't hurt. It can't, even if even if nobody ever comes, it still can't hurt to consider the possibility.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, Winston, because certainly folks would just kind of shuffle off such far-reaching, what somebody might say speculative communication. But it is in our imagination, and it's there for a reason, and it's because of the possibilities. And that's why, if you are of the adventurous nature, if you want to know more about the possibilities of this amazing incarnation you're having here on the planet, plus the thousands of habitable planets and Goldilocks planets and all the discoveries that point towards what Winston is saying there is a system to prepare for, then please call. The phone number is 971 971-333-1005, 971-333-1005, or go to www.exocommerce.net. exocommerce.net, a new extension for Winston. And as you can hear, he is just a tad bit under the weather, so we're not going to do as long of an interview to give his lovely voice a rest and be prepared for you all on Saturday, January 25th, 2014, from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for Exo-Commerce Origins and Return. And make sure and go to www.exocommerce.net, 971-333-1005. Winston, sir, I do hope whatever it is that is gripping your lovely body at this time leaves very quickly, and look forward so much to your fantastic discussion on Exo-Commerce Origins and Returns coming up on January 25th. And thank you, as always, for pushing the envelope and looking for new and better ways for all of us to get along.
Okay, and let me make one comment also.
Yes.
And that is the exo-commerce may appeal to some and may not appeal to others. This is not a diversion away from the intent and mission that we have developed with Solutions in Commerce. And so if this has interest to you, that's fine. If it has no interest to you, then leave it alone. It's like everything else. The intent of Exo-Commerce, or the intent of this webinar, is not to prove anything to anybody. But it is an opportunity to look at the subject matter, which has certainly invaded the Internet. And so again, if this subject matter is something that you don't particularly have an interest in, then just leave it alone. And if you would prefer to simply consider the concepts and technologies and so forth that we have developed with Solutions in Commerce, then stay right there. Again, I'm not on the soapbox. I'm not preaching. I'm simply going to open up various things that either I have personally experienced or that reliable individuals have shared with me. So with that caveat in mind, we'll just do it and have a good time, and all are welcome.